When you delete a file on your computer, you like drag it to the trash, you hit empty, and you naturally just assume it's gone.
Right. It's a binary action. The screen is clean, the space is cleared.
Exactly.
We really like the finality of that action, It gives us this false sense of control.
Yeah, but if you actually talk to any data recovery specialist, they'll tell you that the file isn't gone at all.
Not even a little bit.
Right. The operating system just removes the pointers to the data. So the ghost of that information, the digital imprint, it still lives on the physical hard drive.
Until it gets actively overwritten by something else. It's just lingering in the shadows of the machine. Fragmented, sure, but waiting to be accessed if you know exactly where to look.
Or how to bypass the system's normal rules.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the massive, incredibly dense breakdown that you, the listener, have handed us today.
It is a monster of a document.
It really is. We are looking at the final act of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we are diving into a universe where reality itself was subjected to the ultimate cosmic hard drive wipe.
Dr. Strange's spell.
Right. The spell that was supposed to be absolute. Everyone forgets Peter Parker. The end. Roll credits. But as we comb through this staggering amount of material you've provided, we are finding those ghost files.
The pointers might be gone, but the data is fighting to survive.
It really is. It is the absolute definition of, diagnostic muddy waters when it comes to magic intersecting with biology and memory.
Oh, absolutely. And the sheer volume of narrative weight in this final act is, well, it's something we really need to sit with today.
Yeah, because we aren't just looking at a superhero punching a villain.
No, not at all. We are looking at a profound, sometimes terrifying psychological study of grief, of mutation, and the literal shattering of reality's rules.
So our mission today, based on your outline, is to synthesize these explosive reveals. We're going to dissect the psychology here, decode the incredible anomalies that somehow bypass a universe-altering spell.
Which is still wild to me.
Right. And we'll look at the deeply tragic introduction of mutants into this specific landscape. So let's jump right into the deep end, starting with the physical state of our protagonist.
Let's do it.
Because this isn't just a costume upgrade or a new tech gadget. He is undergoing a literal biological crisis.
It's a fundamental rewriting of his DNA. And what I find so compelling is how the narrative focuses on the most dangerous aspect of this mutation, which is the failure of his spider sense.
Yeah, it's actually easy to miss in the heat of the action, but it's a massive handicap.
Huge.
His early warning system is totally offline. We see this explicitly when he literally stumbles blind into the Punisher's traps in the safe house.
Right. For a guy who has spent his entire superhero career relying on a localized precognitive radar, that has to be absolutely terrifying.
Think about it, though. Think about the biomechanics of his combat style.
Oh, it changes everything.
For years, his survival has been predicated entirely on agility and precognition.
He moves before the bullet is even fired.
Exactly. He dodges before the punch is thrown.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have to look, right? His nervous system just reflexively pulls him out of danger.
Yeah.
But you take that away, and he is suddenly profoundly vulnerable.
His brain is suddenly flooded with normal sensory input, and he just doesn't know how to process it in a combat scenario.
It's like, okay, imagine you're driving a high-performance Formula One sports car, right?
Okay.
But suddenly, the proximity sensors, the mirrors, and the steering assist all completely die.
Oh, wow.
You still have all the horsepower, arguably way more horsepower than you ever had, but you are flying completely blind at 200 miles an hour.
That is exactly the dynamic, because to compensate for this lack of sensory input, he is relying entirely on his raw strength.
Which is staggering, by the way.
Right. We tend to forget just how physically strong he is because he usually masks it with acrobatics and jokes.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy who casually stopped the Winter Soldier's metal arm mid-punch.
A guy who held a split commuter train together.
Right. But without the spider sense to regulate his reactions, the reliance totally shifts. He's no longer the agile acrobat.
He's forced to be a bruiser.
Yeah, when that third trap falls on him in the safe house, that massive piece of industrial equipment, he doesn't dodge it.
He just catches it.
Pure brute force.
Which really brings us to the psychological toll this takes. He is actively building a mutant inhibitor.
Yeah, for Jean.
He's building one for Jean Grey, but crucially, he is building one for himself.
Which is such a dark detail.
He is developing organic webbing, which is a massive biological shift from synthetic fluid to actual glandular production.
Disgusting, obviously.
It is. It's genuine body horror. And later on, his eyes temporarily turn pitch black when he completely unleashes his power.
Right.
Both he and Jean referred to the changes inside him as a monster.
Okay, so here's where I want to push back on that, or at least like dig a little deeper into the notes you provided. Sure. Is Peter actually afraid of the new powers themselves?
What do you mean?
Like the organic webbing, the extra strength?
Yeah.
Because to me, it reads like he is terrified that without his spider sense to subconsciously regulate that strength, he's going to accidentally kill someone.
Ah, I see.
If you have all that unchecked power and you're suddenly blind to your environment, the fear of collateral damage has to be paralyzing.
That's a great point.
I'd argue he's not afraid of being a monster. He's terrified of doing something monstrous by accident.
I completely agree with that reading. It's the fear of losing his humanity through an accident of brute force.
Right.
And when a person feels that kind of internal terror, what do? They isolate, they push people away.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why MJ's presence in this act is the linchpin of his sanity. She acts as his psychological anchor.
She really does.
Yeah.
And she's an MIT-bound biochemical engineering genius.
Yeah.
So she actually helps him fix the mechanical flaws in his inhibitor.
Which is so perfect for her character.
But more importantly, she watches him use organic webbing. She watches him use this terrifying raw strength to catch that trap and save her.
And she doesn't flinch.
She doesn't flinch at all.
She doesn't see a monster. She sees a good person who is going through a terrifying biological change.
Yeah.
That unconditional acceptance is the catalyst for his entire character arc here. MJ refusing to treat him like a threat is the exact psychological permission structure he needs to eventually drop the inhibitor.
And embrace his new powers later when he's fighting the hand ninjas.
Exactly.
That acceptance is everything. But it perfectly highlights the contrast with the other major introduction in this material.
Keep the pivot.
Right. We have Peter fighting an internal mutation, but then we pivot to the arrival of an external mutation that just completely shatters the landscape of the universe.
Jean Grey.
Jean Grey. The way she is introduced is just a masterclass in escalating tension.
Because it's framed through the perspective of Frank Castle.
Yes, the Punisher.
Frank is a pragmatic, highly tactical operator. He doesn't deal in magic or mutants. He deals in ballistics and strategy.
Exactly. So when Frank asks, like, how on earth is a teenage girl driving a military tank and flying a helicopter?
It grounds the threat.
Right. It's a vital question. How is she doing this?
Because we usually assume telepathy is just reading thoughts or maybe controlling physical actions like a puppeteer yanking on strings.
Yeah. Standard sci-fi stuff.
But the reality presented here is infinitely more dangerous. She isn't just jumping into minds. She is actively accessing and absorbing the information inside those minds.
She's a skill-downloading telepath.
That's terrifying.
She's not grabbing the remote control to a person's body. She is plugging directly into their neural pathways and downloading their entire hard drive of life skills
Tactical training, muscle memory,
directly into her own consciousness in real time.
which elevates her from a standard battlefield threat to an apex predator.
Yeah.
She doesn't need years of training. She
Yeah.
just needs proximity to someone who has the training.
Which we see the horrific culmination of later.
When she takes control of an entire squad of hand ninjas,
That scene is insane.
she doesn't just make them swing swords, she unlocks their lifetimes of martial arts memories and combat skills simultaneously.
She is fighting with the synchronized collective experience of a dozen master assassins.
Orchestrating them perfectly.
Okay, but hold on. I have to ask about the physical mechanics of this.
What do you mean?
Because if she downloads the martial arts expertise of a 40-year-old ninja master, right?
Right.
Her brain knows exactly how to execute a perfect roundhouse kick or a lethal strike. But she's in the unconditioned body of a teenager.
Ah, yes.
How does her physical body handle that? Wouldn't she be tearing her own ligaments and destroying her muscles by forcing them to perform actions they physically haven't trained for?
That is the tragic reality of it. It is tearing her apart.
It has to be.
She is operating on pure adrenaline, trauma, and telekinetic bracing. It's not sustainable.
At all.
And the reason she is pushing herself to this point of physical and mental destruction goes back to her foundational trauma.
Right. Let's talk about her backstory from the outline. Both of her parents are gone. She bounced around foster care and was institutionalized.
Yeah.
But the root of her mutation is a specific, horrific childhood incident.
Witnessing her best friend, Annie Richardson, die in a car crash.
It's so dark. And in that moment of extreme, paralyzing grief, Jean's latent mutant powers triggered.
Her mind linked with Annie's dying mind.
So Jean, as a young child, literally experienced the neurological sensation of dying.
She experienced the cessation of life. It completely fractured her mental stability.
I mean, how could it not?
It permanently wired her brain for fight or flight. And this raises a fascinating point about the nature of mutation in this universe.
What that?
Trauma appears to be the primary catalyst. Her powers were born in a moment of ultimate helplessness.
Which explains so much about how the adults in her life reacted. Her foster parents feared her. They put her in a psychiatric facility.
They just saw a disturbed, volatile kid.
Yeah, they couldn't possibly comprehend a child bearing the psychological weight of actual death.
They failed her.
The system failed her, and now she is operating purely on that unresolved trauma and a desperate rage to find her missing older sister, Sarah.
And when a telepath of that magnitude is fueled by rage, they don't look for a subtle solution.
No, they don't.
They look for the most destructive physical force on the planet to act as their battering ram.
Which brings us to the Department of Damage Control headquarters.
And the Hulk.
Oh, man. This is where things get wild, and where the cracks in Doctor Strange's magic spell really start to show.
It's a brilliant sequence.
Jean brings the Smart Hulk to the DODC to just tear the place apart.
Now, normally, the Hulk's mind is a fortress of chaotic rage.
Yeah, you can't control it.
Telepaths historically avoid him because trying to mind control the Hulk is like trying to mind control a hurricane. The feedback loop of anger usually burns out the telepath.
So Bruce Banner changed the rules.
He did.
He spent years merging his brilliant, organized mind with the Hulk's body to create Smart Hulk.
Yeah.
He wanted the best of both worlds.
Right.
But by doing that, he accidentally gave Jean Grey a perfectly organized back door into his psyche.
The tragic irony here is profound. Banner's greatest psychological achievement, taming his inner demon and creating a stable interface, is exactly what made him vulnerable to an external hack.
Oh, wow.
Because Banner's human consciousness is present, Jean can grip it. She essentially found the keyboard Bruce built to control the Hulk, and she just started typing.
That is such a great way to put it.
But it's an incredibly violent internal war. The Hulk persona is constantly fighting her control from the inside, causing her grip to slip.
Yeah, you can see the struggle.
Banner's mind is buckling under the pressure of two Omega-level entities fighting for the steering wheel.
It's pure chaos. So Spider-Man arrives to stop this rampage.
And he tries to use a callback.
Yes, he uses Natasha Romanoff's famous lullaby. He stands down and says, "I can get you out of this."
And the Hulk immediately attacks him.
The lullaby fails completely.
Because Spidey isn't Natasha, it doesn't mean anything coming from him.
Exactly. So Spidey's pinned. He's about to be smashed into paste. And in a desperate final move, Peter takes his mask off.
Yeah.
He looks at the Hulk, says his real name, Peter, and says, "I'm your friend."
And the result is instantaneous.
The Hulk freezes. He looks at Peter, looks at himself in a reflective surface, backs down, lets go, and physically reverts to Bruce Banner.
We really need to pause and examine the mechanics of what just happened here.
I know. I was freaking out reading this part of the outline.
Because Doctor Strange's spell at the end of No Way Home erased Peter Parker from everyone's minds across the entire universe.
It was an absolute wipe.
But it didn't erase him from the Hulk's mind.
This is the ghost file we were talking about.
Yes.
This is the loophole in the magic. The spell clearly targeted the minds of men. It targeted human consciousness, the standard neural network of the population.
But the Hulk isn't a standard human consciousness. He operates as a completely separate entity, born of gamma radiation and repressed childhood trauma.
So Bruce Banner, the scientist, has absolutely no idea who Peter Parker is.
The spell worked flawlessly on him.
But the Hulk's consciousness bypasses the human baseline. The Hulk remembers Peter.
It's a staggering concept. Raw, primal emotion. The Hulk's simplistic, genuine fondness for the kid who fought alongside him in battle somehow bypassed a universe-altering magical parameter.
It's unbelievable.
Magic rewrote reality, but it couldn't overwrite the emotional imprint on an alternate, gamma-irradiated soul.
It suggests that magic has blind spots when it comes to non-standard emotional architecture.
Which changed the rules for everything moving forward.
It's incredible. It means the spell isn't foolproof. But while Banner's recovering from this, we really have to look at why Jean unleashed him on the Department of Damage Control in the first place.
Right. What is hiding inside that building?
Yeah, what's the actual conspiracy here?
We are introduced to DoDC Director Bill Metzger. Now, the Department of Damage Control started out as exactly what it sounds like, a cleanup crew.
Yeah, they handled the debris after superhero battles.
But they have evolved into something far more sinister and systemic.
Metzger has been systematically hunting, capturing, and experimenting on powered beings, specifically mutants.
He's running black sites.
He's trying to replicate their powers, weaponize their genetics for government use. And during these horrific experiments, he killed Jean's oldest sister, Sarah Gray.
If we contextualize this within the broader universe, this is a massive paradigm shift. The DoDC has become an oppressive, weaponized force committing severe human rights violations.
It's really dark.
It is. And this is the exact seed that grows into the mutant-human conflict. When a government agency treats a demographic as weapons or test subjects, it births radical ideologies.
Yeah, like Magneto.
Exactly. It's the exact trauma that will eventually justify the belief that humanity will always hunt mutants.
And Sarah Gray didn't just die quietly. As she was dying on the table, she managed to use her own latent, untrained abilities to send a final mental image to Jean.
Just a partial image of her final viewpoint.
Right. An obscured vent in the lab that read VMAX.
That was the breadcrumb Jean had been hunting for. When Jean finally breaches the lab and sees that specific VMAX vent, the horrific truth of her sister's torture and death clicks into place.
It's the realization that she's too late and her sister died in agony.
And Jean's reaction is catastrophic.
I mean, how could it not be?
When the realization hits, she completely unleashes her potential. It's no longer just telepathy or skill downloading.
It's vast telekinesis.
But more specifically, it's a mental shockwave that completely freezes everyone and everything in a 1-kilometer radius.
A total molecular and kinetic stasis.
Yes.
It's terrifying. It's a vacuum lock on reality. Everything just stops. The temperature drops. The sound vanishes.
Wait for MJ and Ned.
Right. Who are in their apartment down the street. They're frozen mid-sentence. It is a display of godlike power driven entirely by the grief of a teenager who just realized she's completely alone in the world.
And while we, the audience, have the context to understand the profound, heartbreaking grief causing it, the world outside won't.
No, they'll just see the destruction.
This event is going to be the perfect piece of propaganda. People like Metzger will use the footage of this 1-kilometer freeze to justify everything the DoDC is doing.
They will say, look at this teenage girl who can paralyze a city block with a single thought. We have to collar them. We have to control them.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of fear.
Before we move on from Sarah, there is a visual detail we have to point out from the source material.
Oh, the Easter egg.
Yeah. During the flashback to Sarah's life, she is wearing a very specific headband. The colors are yellow, green, and black.
That is a direct visual nod to Jean Grey's classic 1990s comic book costume.
The iconic Jim Lee era. It's such a brilliant touch. Yeah. It's not just a fun wardrobe choice. It's a signaling flair to the audience.
It ties Jean's eventual superhero identity directly to her grief and her love for Sarah.
Right. When she eventually wears those colors, she's wearing them in honor of the sister she couldn't save.
Which brings us to the climax of this conflict. Because the physical battle of Spider-Man trying to fight off the hand ninjas Jean is controlling while everything is frozen eventually gives way to the true battleground.
Because Spider-Man realizes he cannot punch his way out of a grief spiral.
Physical combat is useless against an Omega-level emotional breakdown.
So he does something incredibly dangerous.
Very dangerous.
He purposefully drops his mental defenses. He stops fighting and invites a grieving, raging telepath directly into his own mind.
He opens the door to the most vulnerable parts of his psyche. He lets her see his trauma.
And inside his mindscape, Jean experiences his memories. But more importantly, she encounters the memory of Aunt May.
The ultimate ghost in the machine.
Exactly. And May's memory delivers a crucial message to Jean.
She tells her that while the world seems terrifying and her powers are isolating and dangerous, she is loved for who she is as a person.
Not for the power she wields or the destruction she can cause.
It's a breathtaking parallel. Peter lost Aunt May, who is effectively his Uncle Ben in this universe, because of a villain's unchecked rage.
Right.
Jean is currently standing on the precipice, about to be consumed by that exact same kind of rage over the loss of Sarah.
If she kills Metzger, if she gives in to the monster everyone thinks she is, she crosses a line she can never come back from.
Peter recognizes that, but Jean doesn't have a mentor figure. She doesn't have an Aunt May to guide her back to the light and tell her she's more than her anger.
So Peter literally lends her his own mentor.
It's brilliant.
He uploads Aunt May's wisdom into Jean's mind to save her soul. It is arguably the most profoundly empathetic thing Spider-Man has ever done.
He weaponizes radical empathy.
He absorbs her pain and counters it with love.
And it works. It breaks the cycle of violence. Jean relents.
But the physical toll on Peter is immense. Dropping his guard while fighting ninjas leaves him gravely wounded.
Which brings us to the Punisher's role in the aftermath.
Right, Frank Castle. At the beginning of the act, they clashed.
Hard.
Peter tried to relate to Frank's loneliness, and Frank was deeply offended.
Frank viewed Peter as a kid playing dress-up, someone who couldn't possibly understand Frank's life sentence of actual visceral grief.
But seeing Peter's relentless self-sacrifice changes Frank's perspective entirely.
Frank watches Peter take the full brunt of an Omega-level threat, not to destroy her, but to save her at his own expense.
Frank is a killer. He operates in the absolute darkest, most cynical depths of humanity. He believes people are inherently bad.
Yet Peter earns his ultimate respect.
Frank takes the wounded, bleeding Peter to the hospital. And crucially, this is the detail that matters most. Frank leaves Spider-Man's mask on.
That is the ultimate sign of respect from the Punisher.
Yeah.
He protects Peter's identity from the doctors, from the police, from the entire world.
It's a fantastic visual callback to the Civil War comic arc, where a battered Punisher carries a bloody Spider-Man into Captain America's secret base.
It signifies a passing of mutual, grudging respect between the two most fundamentally opposed ideologies in the vigilante world.
Lethal force, recognizing the immense strength of radical empathy.
Beautifully said.
So, Peter survives the physical ordeal. He lives to fight another day.
But survival means he now has to face the emotional fallout of the spell's success.
He has to look at the people he fought to protect people who look back at him and see a complete stranger.
The devastating reality of magic working exactly as intended.
MJ reads a letter Peter left her at the safe house. From the context clues, she pieces it together.
She's brilliant, so she connects the dots.
She realizes he is Spider-Man. She remembers the weird encounter at the donut shop at the end of No Way Home.
She even realizes he was the mysterious guy named Maynard who crashed her and Ned's party.
She has the data points. She logically understands who he is and what he did.
But then comes the absolute gut punch.
Yeah, she confronts him, and she brutally admits that while she respects him, while she is grateful he saved her life, she does not love him.
The spell wiped the emotional foundation of their relationship. It didn't just erase facts, it erased the warmth, the shared history, the intimacy.
Peter tries to defend his choices. He gives a very solid, rational reason for his secrecy.
He tells her he hid his identity to protect them after Aunt May was murdered.
He didn't want MJ and Ned in the crosshairs of his chaotic, dangerous life.
Logically, it is a perfectly sound argument. It's the classic superhero defense.
But emotionally, the time has passed.
The narrative highlights this inescapable reality by introducing MJ's new boyfriend, Paul.
Oh man, Paul. For the comic fans listening, that name is a massive, highly controversial deep cut.
It really is.
Paul is a character with his own incredibly complex, hidden backstory involving alternate dimensions and time dilation.
Whether the cinematic universe explores that wild backstory or not, Paul's presence right now serves a very specific, grounded purpose.
He is the living proof that life moved on without Peter Parker.
MJ rebuilt her life. She has a partner.
MJ mentions that her memories of her high school trip to Europe are full of bizarre holes because Peter was erased from them.
Which actually makes Paul suspicious that she's hiding something.
Right. But despite those frustrating memory gaps, she has moved forward. The space Peter used to occupy is filled.
It is the ultimate sacrifice fully realized. Peter chose their physical safety over his own emotional happiness, and he has to live with the absolute cold finality of that choice.
She respects Spider-Man, but Peter Parker means nothing to her.
But just when you think the spell's entirely unbreakable,
Just when you accept the tragedy.
we get the scene with Ned.
Yes. Peter goes to hang out with Ned, pretending to just be a new friend he met. They're sitting in Ned's apartment, building the Lego Star Wars X-Wing.
Which is a brilliant, layered callback to them building the Lego Death Star in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Exactly. It's the quintessential Peter and Ned activity. So they finish hanging out, Peter gets up to leave, and without thinking, purely on instinct, Peter initiates their old, complex, secret handshake.
And Ned's body responds.
Ned's muscle memory takes over. He completes the intricate handshake flawlessly. Every slap, every grab, perfect timing.
And at the end of it, Ned just looks at his own hands, bewildered, looks up and says, "Peter?"
This is where we have to pause and really analyze the philosophical and biological mechanics of this universe.
Because it's breaking my brain.
The magic spell wiped the brain. It wiped the hard drive.
Right.
But did it wipe the body?
Yeah.
Can physical muscle memory, the engrams stored in the neuromuscular junctions, outsmart reality-altering magic?
It's a fascinating question. The writers have deliberately left this ambiguous.
Did the physical act of the handshake unlock a suppressed memory deep in Ned's cerebral cortex?
Or did Ned simply deduce that Peter was Spider-Man because MJ had called him Peter earlier, and the handshake just confirmed an unconscious intuition?
I want to believe it's the body remembering. It leaves this tiny, agonizing glimmer of hope that true friendship, true love, leaves a physical, tangible imprint on our nervous system that even a sorcerer supreme can't completely erase.
It brings us right back to your hard drive metaphor from the beginning.
The ghost files.
The data might be entirely inaccessible to the conscious mind, blocked by a magical firewall. But the physical pathways, the neural grooves carved by years of laughter, high fives, and shared experiences are still physically there.
Waiting to be fired by the exact right stimulus.
It's beautiful, and it perfectly sets up the transition into the finale.
As the sun arises on a new era for all of these characters, we get a montage of where everyone stands, followed by a bizarre post-credits scene that throws everything into absolute chaos.
The sunrise motif is classic symbolism. It's a brand new day, both literally and figuratively.
We see MJ and Peter watching the sunrise from different locations. MJ is touching her broken black dahlia necklace, the one Peter gave her in Europe before the world broke, and she's smiling.
She may not have the romantic love back, but she has found a sense of peace with the revelation. The cognitive dissonance is gone.
We see Jean leaving New York, heading off to a sprawling estate that is almost certainly Charles Xavier's school for gifted youngsters.
Setting out to fulfill Professor X's dream of human-mutant coexistence.
She has found a direction for her grief
Yeah.
that isn't purely destructive. She has a future.
And Peter has finally accepted his dual identity. He has realized he doesn't have to be a monster.
He can be the powerhouse Spider-Man and the compassionate Peter Parker. He can carry both burdens.
But just when you think we are ending on a grounded, emotional, street-level note...
We get the post-credits glitch.
Oh, this part.
We are looking at Ned's Spidey Tracker app. It shows Spider-Man's location in
Oh.
Queens. Normal, right?
Right.
But then the screen violently glitches. And the visual style of this glitch specifically mimics the exact animation style of the Spider-Verse movies.
The chromatic aberration, the frame rate stutter.
The signature multiversal tearing effect.
Yes.
And after the glitch, the map rapidly zooms out. Out of Queens, out of New York, out of Earth entirely. The tracker shows Spider-Man's current location is now in deep space.
Which requires massive extrapolation regarding the physics of this universe.
Did he simply get beamed into space in his own universe?
Or did that specific visual glitch imply he has been pulled into another universe entirely through a localized tear in reality?
The breakdown you sent us presents a very compelling theory based on this.
Let's hear it.
It suggests that this glitch is the direct setup for Spider-Man being drafted into an alternate universe team, potentially alongside characters like Yelena Belova, Shang-Chi, and Captain America.
To fight in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday multiversal crisis.
It makes complete tactical sense. If the multiverse is collapsing, the powers that be are going to draft the heavy hitters from across realities.
And an organically mutating Spider-Man who just went toe-to-toe with an Omega-level mutant and lived to tell the tale.
That is a soldier you want on your multiversal front line.
He went from worrying about paying his rent in a crappy Queens apartment to being violently drafted into a cosmic war for the fabric of reality.
It is a wild, incredible escalation.
It perfectly frames the dual nature of the character. He is always torn between the neighborhood and the cosmos.
Wow. Okay, we have covered an immense amount of ground today.
We really have.
To summarize the incredible density of the material we've unpacked, this wasn't just an action story about a guy in a suit fighting ninjas.
Not at all. It was fundamentally a story about adaptation and survival.
It was a profound exploration of how trauma shapes us. We saw how biological trauma can make you feel like a mutating monster and how love can anchor you.
We saw how systemic trauma and the loss of a sister can turn a teenager into a city-freezing threat.
And we saw how sharing your own trauma, offering your own mentor's wisdom, can make you a true hero.
It's a story about the systems we build, the secrets we keep, and the extraordinary lengths we go to in order to protect the people we love.
Even if it breaks our own hearts in the process.
Exactly.
And I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, lingering concept to chew on as you go about your day.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time talking about Doctor Strange's spell. It was supposed to be the ultimate absolute, a cosmic hard drive wipe that no one could escape.
Reality dictated flawlessly by magic.
But the Hulk's alternate trauma-born consciousness bypassed it entirely. He remembered his friend.
And Ned's physical muscle memory, an intricate handshake built over years of laughing in high school hallways, seemingly bypassed it too.
The ghost files of the machine fighting back.
Exactly.
It really makes you wonder, in a vast, terrifying universe filled with literal gods, reality-altering magic, and Omega-level mutants, is it possible that the strongest, most genuinely unbreakable force isn't a spell or a superpower at all?
What is it then?
Is the ultimate power actually the subconscious physical imprint we leave on the people who love us? Can love, quite literally, rewrite reality?
That is a question worth holding on to.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey today. Keep questioning the details, keep looking for those ghost files, and keep exploring the hidden depths of your favorite stories. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.